guys, your girl Jalicia, and I'm back with another video. Now today I'm here to talk about 10 things not to do to your locks. Now everyone loved the previous video that I had, and if you haven't seen it, I will definitely link it in the bottom bar. So I decided to put together 10 more things that you definitely should not do to your locks. So if you're interested to find out what those 10 things are, stay tuned, girl. Stay tuned. Alright, now per the last video, if you hear any foolishness in the background, it's definitely lions, so you can just disregard that. Yes, you. Alright, now number 1 is not washing and conditioning your hair. And the reason why I added this in is because a lot of people have sent me messages saying that their loctician says not to wash their hair for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months at a time, and that's disgusting. And that is definitely a no-no when it comes to locks. I don't know who started this not washing your hair will preserve your locks foolishness, but that is not true, okay? That's nasty, and don't nobody want to be touching no head with no scabies in it because you haven't washed your hair in 6 months, okay? No, no, no. You must wash your hair, and I personally would not go to anyone that would not wash my hair. Like, you're not gonna wash it at all? A retwist on hair that's not washed is just no. Number 2, those that have long locks, it's especially for you. It is not a good idea to go to your stylist or yourself and style your hair before you dry it. But especially those with long hair, you do not want to style your hair and then dry it, because the air is not going to fluctuate in between the spaces in your hair because your hair is in a style, and it's not going to dry properly. And if you've seen the last video, you know not drying properly will definitely lead to mold. Correct. So you definitely don't want to get your hair braided and then try to go and style it, especially if you're doing this anytime evening or late afternoon, because your hair is definitely not going to have enough time to air dry. Now those with short locks can get away with doing this only because it does not take them as long to dry as we do. Number 3, no synthetic hair put on your lock, either for an extension or to patch it. I do know that there are locticians out here that have several different ways to repair your locks, whether to repair the holes that you sometimes get in the middle or a thinning lock at the root. Under no circumstances should you be adding synthetic hair to your hair. 1, because it's fake hair. 2, because it's highly flammable. And 3, because it's fake hair. If you want a lock extension, you definitely need to go and spend that extra, I think it's like $40 a bag for the real nappy hair, which is what you use to make a lock. But no, Marley hair, jumbo twist, none of that stuff is real, and you should not be adding that to your hair under no circumstances. And if you go to a loctician and this is the hair they're using, please leave. Please leave. That hair is never going to mesh with your hair. You're always going to have an issue with different textures, and it's going to look crazy. Like, no. If the hair costs less than $30, no, it's not the one that you should be using. Bunk. Number 4, no co-washing. Now, I know as loose naturals, a lot of people co-wash their hair, and if you don't know, co-washing means conditioner wash, but just the phrase conditioner wash just seems like an oxymoron to me. But okay, loose naturals get away with it, fine and dandy. But under no circumstances should you have locks and co-washing your hair. Now that is just crazy. Because locks need shampoo. Okay, we need soap. You might even get away with a little bit of dish liquid, but you definitely should not be washing your hair with conditioner. Okay, that's not washing, that's conditioning. But I do know, especially on YouTube, a lot of people are pro co-wash, and I don't understand why. Conditioners do not clean dirt out. Okay, I'm just gonna let that marinate for a second. And conditioners do not clean dirt out. A lot of times conditioner is very hard to come out of our locks in general, just to wash out, and most of the times we have to dilute it. You definitely should not be putting the conditioner in your hair thinking that you're cleaning your hair, because all you're doing is softening the hair along with the dirt. Okay, number 5 is no dry retwisting. And I really believe that I added that in the last 10. I'm not quite sure. I'll leave an annotation if I did. But it is so important that I felt the need to get up again. You should not ever be retwisting your hair dry. That falls back onto what I said in the last video about separating your hair dry. It just hurts. It pops your hair in areas that shouldn't be popped, and it just doesn't make sense. You need to have the hair wet in some form. It doesn't have to be sopping wet, but it at least needs to be damp. And if you're retwisting your hair that you did not wash, okay, you need to take a spray bottle and you need to spray the roots if you're going to retwist. It's as simple as that. It's damaging your hair more than you know, and it's painful. So I definitely say you should not be doing it. Okay, number 6 is no excessive use of tea tree oil. This is something that probably some of you do not know, but tea tree oil is also considered like one of those antibacterial oils. So it's very, very strong. I would not suggest ever just putting tea tree oil in your hair alone, because it is so strong it can burn your hair. So I suggest if you're going to use tea tree oil, especially for those of you who work out a lot, tea tree oil will help you clean the sweat out your hair, but you definitely need to put it in a spray bottle with water, completely diluted. Like I say, 1 part tea tree oil, 3 parts water, and then do it that way. Never should you be putting tea tree oil on your finger and rubbing it straight into your scalp, nor putting it into your scalp straight out the bottle. Number 7 is predominantly for male lockers, but there are some females that do this also. You do not want to constantly take the locks from right here, which as you can see are from like my, what area would you call this? From like my sideburn area, and I don't have any locks over here, but those of you who have locks here, and tie them back like this to hold your hair. It's not a good idea, especially as you can see I have 2 locks here, especially if you're using just one. This is going to weaken the fuck out of these locks right here. You're going to end up with a thin little area in here because it's constantly pulling, and I have seen some people also lose the hair from the root. If you are going to do this and tie your hair back with your hair, I would suggest 2, 3, or 4 locks to use to tie, because then the pressure is evenly distributed and it's not just coming from one area, and it allows it not to be tied and weakened as strongly. So never just take that one lone lock on the sides and tie it back. And if you have weakening locks on those sides and you're wondering where it's from the tie back. It's definitely convenient. It's also one of those marker points that a lot of people use for locks to say, yes, my hair is growing. But it's great that your hair can tie back like that. But like I said, never put the pressure just on those lone 1 locks, because it's going to be disastrous for you. Alright, number 8 is no cutting up the shaft of your lock. Now I definitely know that I have mentioned this in another video, but some of y'all need all the information condensed into one form, so here we go. A lot of you, especially those of you who've been locking 2 years or less, you have a lot of frizziness on the sides of your locks. And a lot of times you want to cut it off. That's never a good idea. You never want to cut these excess hairs off because they are attached to parts of your lock on the inside. So it can cause your lock to turn to shrapnel and disintegrate before your eyes. Like you would have 6-inch locks and next thing you know you have 1 inch of a lock. You definitely don't want to do that. You also want to take that hair and palm roll it. You don't want to cut it off. You don't want to twist it with your finger. You just don't want to mess with it in any way other than palm rolling, because it's part of what makes your lock into a lock. Number 9 is probably going to hurt a couple of people's feelings, especially some of those who know me personally, but don't hold on to dead hair. Don't do it. Do not hold on to a lock or a piece of a lock that's holding on by a string just because you feel like it's going to make your hair short. That's stupid. I'm just gonna say it like how it is. Holding on to that dead piece of lock is not making your hair longer. It's actually making your hair look worse, and it's causing your hair to stop growing. Just like regular hair, I always tell you guys, you have to trim your hair. Just because you have locks does not mean that you have to trim. And holding on to those dead pieces or those extremely thin pieces that you feel is going to affect the length of your hair, is going to affect the growth of that particular lock. One little short lock is not going to kill you, and it's better, in my opinion, to get rid of that short piece so that it can continue to grow and flourish than to hold on to it until it fall off. Because, oh yes, it's gonna fall off. And if you are my client, you know I cut those pieces off. I really don't care if you're holding on to it. It has to go. And there's no point in holding on to a dead piece so that you can say you got 3 more inches of length. Do you? Do you really? And that brings me to number 10. And number 10 is general advice. And this is something that I always want you guys to remember. Never take advice or go to someone and sit in their chair if their hair is busted and disgusted, okay? And I thoroughly mean that. Now, I don't mean like how my hair usually is, which is not done or just pulled back. I'm talking about unhealthy, broken off, full of buildup, lint balls everywhere, just looking like one lock is 1 inch in diameter, the other one looking like this. No, don't ever take hair advice from that person, because clearly if they had so much good advice, they would be doing it to their own hair. So I would never sit in that person's chair, let them lock me, let them oil me. I wouldn't even let them touch my hair. It just wouldn't happen. So my advice to you is look at the person's hair who you're going to lock your hair. And if their hair is not what you're striving for, I would strongly consider it. And like I said in my other video, I'll go to someone on Craigslist before I go to someone in the African braiding shops or someone whose hair is busted and disgusted to come and do my hair and tell me what I am not doing right. Like, tell yourself. What's wrong with your hair, girl? Your hair's a mess. Alright, so that is the next 10. So hopefully this 10 will further help you guys in knowing what not to do to your locks and to promote positive things doing to your locks, because I see that everyone loved the last video, everyone had an opinion on it, and everyone had other questions. So most of the questions that I got, I addressed them in this next 10. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you are doing these things, if you know someone who is, if you had an issue with this, or if you have 10 more things that maybe I didn't mention. Always leave it down below because I like to chat. And yeah, I will definitely see you in another video.